My neighbor never goes out during the day, and now I understand why. I thought he was afraid of the sunlight. Then one night I saw him outside my door, and that's when I realized he was waiting for someone to look at him long enough. Now I'm the one who can't step outside during the day. I moved into the house in early spring. The street was quiet, lined with identical maple trees and mailboxes that leaned at the same tired angle. Everyone introduced themselves within the first week, everyone except the man who lived directly across from me. His curtains were always drawn during daylight, thick, dark curtains, not the decorative kind, the kind meant to block something out or keep something in. At first, I barely noticed. People work night shifts, people value privacy, people have reasons, but after a few weeks, I realized something peculiar. I had never once seen him step outside before sunset. Every evening, just as the sky began to bruise purple, his front door would open. He'd step out slowly, as if testing the air, tall, pale, neatly dressed in plain, dark clothes. He'd check his mailbox, sometimes stand very still on the porch, then take long walks down the street, always alone, always after dark, and he never waved back. I told myself I was imagining the tension in his eyes when they passed over my house, the way his gaze lingered on my windows, the way he seemed to be counting something. One night, I decided to test a theory. I left my porch light off. Every house on our street kept theirs on at night, a kind of unspoken agreement, but mine stayed dark. He paused when he reached my yard. He stood there longer than usual. I watched through a crack in the blinds as he tilted his head slightly, as if confused. Then he stepped closer to my front door, not touching it, just standing near it, listening. I felt foolish for holding my breath, but I did. After what felt like an hour, he turned and walked away. The next morning, I checked my doorbell camera footage. There he was, clearer than I expected, standing on my porch at exactly midnight, not moving, not blinking, just staring at the door. What unsettled me wasn't his presence, it was the timestamp. Midnight was when he left his house. He couldn't have been at his place and mine at the same time, yet I distinctly remembered seeing him leave his house before walking toward mine. I replayed the footage several times, convincing myself I'd mixed up the timeline. Maybe I'd looked away, maybe I'd misremembered. Memory is unreliable, especially when you're looking for something strange. But then something else caught my attention while he stood on my porch. The streetlights flickered, all of them in sequence like a ripple moving down the block, and when the light stabilized, his shadow was wrong. It stretched toward the house, toward me, but the light source was behind him. I didn't sleep that night or the next. Instead, I began watching him more closely from my kitchen window. I could see the side of his house. No deliveries ever arrived during the day, no trash bins were rolled out, no car in the driveway. I started wondering how he lived, how he ate, how he paid bills. One afternoon, I knocked on his door. It was an impulsive decision, a mix of curiosity and stubbornness. I told myself I was being neighborly. There was no answer, but I heard something inside, not footsteps, not movement, breathing slow, close, right on the other side of the door. I stood there, heart pounding, unsure whether to speak. The breathing continued, calm, patient. Then the doorknob rattled, not turning, just rattling, as if someone inside wanted me to know they were there but had no intention of letting me in. I stepped back from the door, and that's when I noticed something I should have seen before. His windows weren't just covered from the inside, they were boarded from within. The wood pressed tightly against the glass, leaving no gaps, no cracks, no accidental slivers of daylight. He wasn't keeping the sun out, he was keeping something else from seeing in. That night, I made a decision I regret more than anything. I stayed awake, watching his house, determined to finally understand. I thought I was observing him. I didn't realize he was waiting for me to notice, and that was the night I understood why he never goes out during the day. That night, I kept every light in my house off. I don't know why. I thought darkness would protect me. Maybe I believed if I blended in with the street, he wouldn't single me out, or maybe I already suspected the truth and didn't want to see it clearly. At exactly midnight, his door opened, same as always. He stepped out slowly, pausing at the threshold as if adjusting to something invisible. The streetlights hummed faintly, the air felt heavier than usual, like a storm was about to break. He didn't walk toward the mailbox this time, he walked straight toward my house. No hesitation, no pause. My pulse thudded in my ears as I watched from behind the blinds. He reached my porch in seconds and stood beneath the awning, his face tilted upward toward my second-floor window, toward me. Even though the room was dark, I knew he could see me. The streetlights flickered again, one by one, pop, 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 until the entire block was swallowed in darkness. The only light left was coming from my living room, a faint blue glow from the television I had forgotten to turn off. In the reflection of the screen, I saw him move, not toward the door, up, his body lifted slightly from the porch, not dramatically, just enough that his shoes were no longer touching The ground my breath caught in my throat and then he was gone, not walking away, not stepping aside, gone. I spun around, scanning the room, every shadow suddenly unfamiliar. The house felt smaller, tighter, like the walls had inched closer. Then I heard a soft thud from upstairs directly above me, my bedroom. I don't remember deciding to move, but somehow I was at the foot of the staircase, staring into the dark hallway above. The air smelled different, faintly metallic, like old coins. Another sound, the slow scrape of something against wood. He wasn't trying to be quiet, he wanted me to follow. Every instinct screamed at me to leave, to run out the front door and never look back. But something else, something stronger, pulled me upward step by step. The hallway was pitch black. My bedroom door was open. I never leave it open. Inside, the curtains were drawn back. Moonlight flooded the room and there he was standing beside my bed, not looking at me, looking at the wall across from him, specifically at the large mirror mounted above my dresser. I swallowed hard. What do you want? I asked, my voice thinner than I expected. He didn't answer. He simply raised one pale hand and pointed at the mirror. I forced myself to look. At first, I only saw my own reflection, wide eyes, pale face, trembling hands. Then I noticed something wrong. My reflection was breathing, but I wasn't. I became aware of it suddenly, the stillness in my chest, the absence of air, moving in and out, no rise, no fall. Panic surged through me. I tried to inhale. Nothing happened. Behind me, in the mirror, the version of me began to smile slowly, deliberately. I wasn't smiling. The reflection's eyes shifted, not toward me, but toward him, and he smiled back. That's when I understood he never goes out during the day because he can't, not in his own body. He needs someone else's, someone who watches him long enough, someone who invites him in with curiosity instead of fear. The breathing I heard behind his door that afternoon, it wasn't his. It was the last person who figured it out too late. The scrape upstairs wasn't him climbing through a window. It was something stepping out of the glass, out of the mirror, into me. I felt it then, a cold, hollow expansion in my chest, like something was settling inside, a space that had been prepared for it long ago. He stepped aside in my bedroom, giving the mirror a clear path in the reflection. I watched myself take a step forward toward the glass. My real body stayed frozen, but the reflection kept moving closer until it pressed its hand against the surface. From the inside, the room around me began to dim, like someone was lowering a brightness setting on reality itself. And then I was somewhere else, not my bedroom, not my house. I was standing behind thick, dark curtains, looking out through a narrow crack at my own street in daylight. The sun burned, not painfully but wrong, unnatural, across the road. In my old house, I saw a figure standing at the upstairs window, watching the neighborhood, watching the maple trees, watching the mailboxes, watching the houses for someone new, someone curious, someone who would notice that the man across the street never goes out during the day and eventually try to understand why I haven't stepped outside since I can't. The daylight doesn't let me move the way the dark does at night. I walk the street, I check the mailbox, I stand on porches, I wait, and across from me now, in the house that used to be mine, the curtains are open just a little. Enough for someone to see and enough for someone to start wondering. If you ever move to a quiet street like mine, and you notice your neighbor never goes out during the day, don't knock on the door, and whatever you do, don't look too long into the mirror.